All right, so I'm gonna start butchering this bad boy up. So as I said before, we're paid about $12 a pound for this. And if you were to buy this in the store already butchered up pound for pound, you'd be paying probably $4 more a pound. Probably close to 30% more. So this is a skill that is well worth it. So first thing I'm going to do is get all of this plastic kind of pulled off. I'm not going to cut it down to the bottom because there's a lot of juice in there. It's not necessarily all blood. Kind of more like the proteins and stuff coming out of it. But for all intents and purposes, it is, I guess it's blood. But actually, there's not too much blood here in the thing, and that's good. Because that means we're not paying for a bunch of weight and blood that we're basically just throwing out the garbage. So, first thing I'm going to do is try to get rid of some of this fat here. Even though fat is the best part, a lot of times it is very thick. And especially if you're going to grill this stuff on the outside, you know, turns to liquid and really flares up. It makes grilling kind of a nightmare. But and a lot of this I'll show you, the silver skin here, the sinew, is super chewy, and no matter how much you cook it, this is the silver skin here. It's very thick. It's very strong, and you can't chew it. So it's a good idea to get rid of most of that. And there's less stuff that we're gonna have left over on our plates. So I'm kind of just shaving off some of this fat. This is pure fat here. If you're crazy, you could save it, cook it down a little bit, and make your own beef fat. But me, I think, feeling lazy, I might just throw it away. So a knife safety thing, if you notice, I'm always cutting away from myself. I'm never gonna cut like this towards my hand, because if I slip, I could get myself. Everything we slip, that's fine. If we slip, we go away. Again, I'm just gonna be trimming up. I do want to leave fat, because fat is one of the important parts, especially on a ribeye. That's why you buy it, because it has fat on it. But this exterior fat is not exactly something that is all desirable. Having some fat on it, but look how much there is there. I mean, this is still a lot of fat. We're gonna get rid of a bunch of this. As soon as we start hitting some of the meat, we know we're just about there. Okay, get rid of, gonna need a bigger cutting board if I'm gonna keep doing this kind of stuff. All right, now we're gonna switch around and work on this front end here a little bit. This is gonna be where we're gonna see a little more of that connective tissue. A lot of it will just come right off. And here I'm not going to be scared to kind of get into the meat a little bit to get rid of that connective tissue. But again, we don't want to cut too much off, because then we're just throwing money down the drain. But a lot of this stuff's going to be you wouldn't eat, and you'd kind of leave this on your plate anyway. So it's kind of a nicer presentation when the steak's all cut up. So a little more of that. Now we can flip over and see what we're working on the rib side. So this would be like the actual outside of the animal. Here's like the spine would be up here. This is boneless, and this would be like its back muscle basically. And we flip over here, you can see the spots where the ribs were. It's almost like flaps that are open. This is where the actual rib bones were. But this is a boneless cut, so all of that's been taken out. So again, I'm just gonna trim up here, get rid of some of this, neaten up some of this. There's actually a lot of meat in here, so these scraps here are gonna get saved for the dog. She's gonna appreciate that. And here too, this is more of the silver skin along this side here, you can see. I'm gonna try to clean some of that off. Again, not going super crazy because we don't want to throw out, you know, the more we clean off, the higher that per pound price goes up, right? As we cut off a pound, you know, we paid for 15 3/4 pound, but if you throw away a pound, that the price goes up. So the more you kind of cut off, the more you don't want to waste. And here on these, I think I'm just going to hit off some of these little chunks of white here and call it a day. I'd rather have more on there and myself and chew a little more off than waste it here at the beginning. All right. All right, so I'm gonna start doing this steak. I got a small cutting board here, so I'm gonna pop it in half just so I have some room here. Get that out of the way. And this is a ribeye. Here's the rib, and this is the eye right here. This is called marbling. When there's lots of fat, chunks of fat that go through the steak, that's called marbling, like the stone. So all we're gonna do now is cut steaks off. And Mr. Sibbs likes his steaks really thick. So I'm gonna cut this maybe about 1.5 inches thick. And I'm gonna go maybe use my blade, looks like a good thickness. And I'm gonna go nice and easy and make sure I cut it straight this way and straight this way. I don't wanna make it like a wedge shape. I don't wanna make it a wedge shape this way or this way. I'm gonna go down straight and make it so it's even. So there we go, there's a nice ribeye steak. Boneless ribeye. So I have a little scale here, let's see what we got. Let's say about so just over a pound. A little more than a pound. This could be really good. Get rid of this scale. And we're gonna see, I think we should get somewhere between 10 and 12 steaks out of this bad boy. Around the same size, I'm gonna go like this, use my fingers. Just keep cutting steaks out. No, it's no big deal, it takes a little time. It's nice to get consistent thicknesses. So this could probably feed my wife and I one dinner here, but realistically I would just eat the whole thing. See, each cut's a little bit different as you're moving down the muscle. It's part of the sirloin. Again, using that knife to keep a consistent thickness, so all my steaks are about the same. Again, you can see how that muscle, the muscle is changing from the steak. Different muscles are tapering off, new muscles are showing themselves. So here we kind of got a weird shape. I'm gonna still try to get my 1.5 inches-ish. Got a little piece missing here, but you know, for the most part, that's still a nice ribeye there. And this little guy will make a nice little snack steak one day. It's still good. This side's not as nice. This wasn't cut fresh, but there you go. So I'm going to keep going on like that. You don't need to keep watching this. All right, so this is the last cut I'm doing here. Then we'll kind of go through and see what we got here. This is the end of the second half. This is another nice moss. There's like a Flintstone steak right here. It's beautiful. Still got a nice fat on top. And then this guy here, not quite perfect, but a lot better than this guy. So these are two, like, this one still, you could call this still a good sized steak here. This one a little less, so we'll call this one, this is extra. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, so at $12 a pound and there's 11 steaks, we're paying just a little more than $12 a steak here. So a steak this size, we'll look up the prices when we watch this, but I'm going to say a ribeye is going to cost you about 15 to 17 bucks a pound. So I'm paying probably just a little over $12 for these big steaks here, and these are big steaks. I'm paying a little over $12 a steak here. And let's check another one of these. So this is 1 pound, almost 6 ounces. So this is almost 1.5 pounds of steak. So at $17 a pound, let's say, this would be roughly 17, this would be over $20 a steak, where I paid about 12. So believe it or not, this is a little more than I can eat before it goes bad. So I'm going to vacuum seal these, date them, and put them in my freezer. Maybe I'll show you the vacuum sealing process as well. This is a vacuum sealing machine. You kind of make your own bags out of it, and it sucks all the air out. So this bag comes in like a roll, almost looks like paper towel roll. And the first thing you have to do is, because the bag is open all the way, you seal up one side to close the bottom of the bag. And just hit the seal button. So the light goes off. See what it does there? Can you see? It melts a line in it, and I like kind of doubling it up just to be double sure. So I hit it twice. I need a new one of these machines because this smells like burnt plastic. Alright, so that's sealed. We got a double seal on there. I don't know if you can see that, but now that tube has become a bag. What I like doing is rolling this down a lot so I don't get meat on the edge, because that edge has got to seal good. So I roll it down so anything that touches is not going to get in the way of my seal when I seal the other side. So it's good to have these guys nice and dry. And I'm going to use a pair of tongs here so I don't have to keep washing my hands by touching the meat. I'm going to dab it all off. The more dry you get it, the better. So I'm going to hold this open, try not to touch the sides too much. Get it all the way down there. Now this stayed clean. So what you do here is this is where the vacuum actually removes the air. Get this in here, get it nice and straight. I'm going to close it and hit the vacuum. It's going to take all the air out of this bag. All the air. You want to just be careful. That's why we dry it off. You don't want to see any juice kind of going up in there, because that can affect the seal. You can see this little bit of blood here going through. We'll try. Oh, you saw that just shot up there? Let's see if we messed up here. No, we caught it in time. See how it stopped there? And again, I'm going to double seal it just to be, extra protective of it. This is a way to keep your meat tasting really, really fresh. So what we'll learn in food safety is that, when things go bad, there's a certain number of factors at play. and one of them is air, oxygen. So vacuum sealing gets rid of a lot of the air. Now this freezes, this won't get freezer burnt because there's no air in there to let the moisture come off and condense and get freezer burnt. So last step, because I got a lot of stuff in my freezer. Where's my marker? Last step is to label and date it properly so other people know what's in there. And we know how old it is. If we have another set of steaks in there that are older, we want to use those first. 928 ribeye. Now I got to do that another 11 times, and then we'll check out my progress on it.